Okay, so I need to clarify some lies again. Yesterday there was another stream about me, somebody I had not seen yet, so I gave him a chance and decided pretty quickly that he was just like all the others that are going to infer and put their own twist on my life in order to make it what they want it to be. So instead of me holding a sign on a sidewalk corner by a red light, he changes it to me being on a highway with a dog. Two vastly different experiences, one that I did and one that I did not. And then he judges me by the one that I did not. I decided to go back and give him another chance today after the live was over and all. And I came across a very angry woman lying about me. She was upset because I said that I had been homeless for 5 years, and she said, "You have not been homeless for 5 years. You didn't even leave Florida until 2018. Wrong. My grandmother passed away in November of 2015. The day my grandmother passed away, I became homeless. My aunts came and told me that I had to leave, that they were coming back with a bank eviction notice, that I had not been left anything. I was not to be there anymore. Okay, now I stayed there for a year, but I wasn't supposed to, and I didn't have power or water. Legally, I was homeless. Technically, I was squatting, but in a legal sense, I became homeless the second my grandmother passed away. I was no longer allowed to live in her home by decree of her daughters. So after I left the condo, after the first year of being homeless, squatting in a condo with no power and water, I went out to Ocean Way. And there I tried to live in a tent on the property that I was left, but I wasn't able to do that. There was a neighbor that wanted to buy the property. She had a friend who had a trailer right down the road, about a mile away from the property. At the time, I believed the property was mine and I was trying to sell it. I believed it was mine because my aunts told me it was mine. They came to me. They said, "There's no will. You're a grandchild, so you don't get anything, but out of the goodness of our hearts, we're going to give you the property at 6690 Cedar Point." And I said, "Well, where is the deed to it?" And I was told to figure it out. I wasn't able to figure it out. But the people that wanted to buy the property were rich, and they hired a lawyer to try to figure it out. The lawyer wasn't able to figure it out. Anyways, while they were working with the lawyer to figure out how to get that property, they allowed me to live in this man's trailer. I was technically still homeless at this point because it was not my home. I was staying in somebody else's home. If y'all gonna get real technical about it, I would have just been couch surfing the whole time I was staying with my grandmother, according to my family, who believes that she never loved me. So she really didn't want me in her home, so technically it wasn't a home then. So that would have been another 10 years that I had been technically homeless. But 2017, I finally gave up and realized they were not going to be able to get that trust unlocked to get the property out, because we finally figured out that's where the property was. It was in a trust that was not left to me, and my family was not responding to the lawyer's emails, phone calls, or letters. So I left on foot. Left Florida on foot, walked up through Savannah, Georgia. When I got up through Savannah, Georgia, some friends online put me on a Greyhound bus. I promised them that they helped me get somewhere safe. See, I didn't choose to come to California. This was a discussion made between me and the people on Recolor that helped me out. they decided that California would be the best place for me to come because marijuana was legal and healthcare was rampant. And so they told me that they would help me get here and they would help me put me up in a hostel for a little bit on the exception that I get help when I got here. And I did that. The day after I arrived here in Los Angeles, because I arrived at night, the very next morning, I walked up down to the Gateway's mental health center where I am still receiving services. I started medication that night. They got me the medication, they had me a therapist, they got me on the food stamps and the EBT. They got all of that done that day. I promised the people on Recolor that if they helped me out, I would get that help. I did not break that promise. Now, some people think I did because it's not helping. But I'm trying. I'm taking the medication. I'm seeing the therapist. I'm doing what I said I would do. I never promised that it would work. You can't promise or ensure that you can cure a person with mental health issues. That's not something you can guarantee. You can try. I am trying. I have been trying. I have not stopped trying, which is what I promised to do. So when I got here to California in 2017, not 18 or 19, I was in hostels for a couple of months. Again, that is not a home. Legally, I was still homeless while staying in a hostel because a hostel or an Airbnb. Okay, do you understand why an Airbnb can never be your home unless you're the one that owns it? Can that comprehend? After the money ran out for the hostels, I started living in tents. For a year on the streets of Los Angeles, I was in tents. They kept being stolen. I had to get more. I slept on benches. I slept in parks. In 2019, a friend who was in the Navy contacted me. And he had a truck, an extra truck. Now, here's another thing. This woman was very angry, saying that he didn't give that truck to me. It was expected that I would drive it around and I would get a job. Wrong. The truck was given to me. It was a gift. It was put in my name. He got insurance on it for me. It was my truck. He knew I couldn't drive it. He was well aware when he gave it to me and by the time he left for Japan, not Korea, that the truck was not going to be driven by me. When he left for Japan, we spoke to the pastor of the church that we attended and asked permission to have it parked in the back until I got my Section 8. That was what the agreement was. Do y'all know when I left the truck? When I got my Section 8. I already had the voucher when I was given the truck, but I couldn't find the apartment and get approved for it. It took a year. And unfortunately, that year was during the pandemic. That was 2020. I didn't move into my own apartment and become officially housed until January of this year, 2021. So from 2015 to 2021, I was legally homeless. My friend gave me the truck to live in, not to drive because he knew I couldn't drive it, not to work because he knew I wasn't capable of working either. He was giving me a shelter to live in. He took it back in the end. That doesn't mean that it wasn't originally meant to be mine. So I just needed to clear that up because this is what bothers me. This is y'all take my life and then you just create your own version of it to demonize me when I have not done the things that you're. If it happened the way that you claimed it happened, I would be a horrible person. It's all documented. It's all out there. There is no reason that you would be able to get it this wrong and still proclaim that it's factual. Now, I do want to say thank you to one thing because yesterday I noticed that the story of Roberta Laws had been featured on a true crime channel. And, y'all had been threatening that y'all were going to get a true crime channel interested in it. And I told you that I didn't care because I knew that any reputable true crime channel would do their own investigation and would report the truth, not the lies that have been spread by hateful people, by vindictive family. And that's what she did. This podcast was entirely truthful. There was no mention of me getting a plea deal. There was no mention of me being more involved. There was no mention of a $50,000 lawyer that saved me. It was completely honest and fair and factual, and I'm fine with that. It's when y'all begin to make up things and lie and demonize me that I have a problem. And that's what all of you do. Nothing that you say is completely factual. Even if you're using my straight video, you'll add your own words to it to create something that's not happening. And there's no way for me to win that. There's literally no way for me to win. Because no matter what I do, you're going to twist it into something bad.